Hi there, welcome to Sunnyside Journals, part two of my flip through for my December Dailies journal that I created this year. We just left off. If you missed the first part one, I'll put the link down below. Go watch it first, because then you'll be able to catch up and see what all these pages are about. I just finished talking about this. Might be one of my favorite pages in the book, and it didn't start off looking like this. But this also might be one of my favorite pages in the book. Let me move it over. This was, I meant it to be about my favorite movie of Christmas. And it evolved into how my worst movie ever became my favorite movie ever. But they weren't the same ones, but it was the same story, because this one is dedicated to A Christmas Carol. And if you watch the episode, you'll know. I saw an old black and white version of A Christmas Carol at school one afternoon, and it terrified the daylights out of me. For a long, long time, I was terrified of Marley's ghost. But then I eventually grew to love Charles Dickens' work. I love the story of A Christmas Carol. I read it pretty well every year. It can be read in an evening. It's not a very long story. It's long, but if you're an avid reader, you can get through it in an evening, maybe 2 evenings. Or you can make it last if you want to make it 5 nights, or, all the various staves in the book. Anyhow, so I wrote about how at first the movie terrified me, and then eventually, thanks to Jim Henson, I grew to love. My favorite Christmas movie probably is A Muppet Christmas Carol. It's just a marvelous, marvelous movie. And then I also mentioned in it, because of Ebenezer Scrooge, Ebenezer is actually also our great-great-grandfather's name. So he's in the cast of characters back here. Ebenezer Brown was my grandfather's father. So, and you'll see here, it says he was born in 1863. I don't know yet when he died. The last I found of him was in 1944. He was still alive. I found him listed in the city directory. But they haven't released the censuses yet past that, so I don't know. And believe it or not, Ebenezer Brown was quite a common name back then. And in London, England, which back then was even a very busy, populated city, there was just too many Ebenezer Browns born in 1863 for me to ever figure out if he's mine or not yet. So I don't know. I do know that from the time my mother was in the family, by then Alice, his wife, my granddad's mother, was a widow. So probably my mother entered the scene around 1945. So probably around that time he did pass away. But I don't know yet. That's a mystery to be solved. Anyhow, so on this collage, I put in a belly band, a north-south belly band, and then I wanted to include things like, this is actually a canceled banker's note. Thank you, Dave, for this. This is actually from a London bank, and I loved it because it's green, and this light green in the scrapbook paper that I put on the back. And thank you to my 2 friends who sent huge packages of Christmas scrapbook paper. Just made this such a pleasure to create this year. I had so much Christmas paper to choose from. It was just, that was such a gift. This page, the challenge was to use 3 different kinds of washi tape, and I did it. I used keys, because Marley's ghost carried all the chains and the money boxes and the keys when he came through the door there. So I used keys, And then there's some Christmassy ones there, 11 pipers piping, and just some handwriting, some old-fashioned handwriting. And then with this illustration, which is from the original copy of the first edition that Dickens put out of A Christmas Carol, this little title, Marley's Ghost, was underneath here. So I was able to successfully take it away and frame it, and then I tore the edge of this to create my journaling card. And then of course the clock, because it strikes a lot of times in that story, and a candlestick that was up on the mantle, and because it was all that was lighting his room was a candle beside his little meager fire that he had going. There's the candle there. So I love how this one turned out. I think that's so pretty. And again, I sewed on some lace here. And then the bell here. Here, let me ring it. For that bell that went off on his mantle, his fireplace mantle, that just scared the daylights out of me. Oh, I still get a little bit, yeah. So this page, oh, I just wanted this one to be peaceful, and I want to think about all my Christmases through childhood and through being a mother that I spent at church, and that my favorite parts of Christmas at church was the beautiful live music, enjoying the live music that others performed, and also being a part of performing the live music, especially as a mother, to be able to sing with my children in the choirs and sing solos, and also to have my children playing the piano and the organ for Christmas was it's got to be one of my happiest Christmas memories that I have. Here is a little correction that I created for myself here. That S right there. I did this on blank music paper, if that looks familiar, all those lines. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be clever. And I tried to draw in a treble clef and make it look like the letter S, because the word here is some of my happiest memories. And it just looked horrible. And I thought, what am I going to do? This treble clef looks stupid. It actually looked like the letter G. So it looked like gome of my happiest memories. Then I was able to, thank goodness, I found this S. And I cut it around and made it look a little interesting. And I inked the edges. I actually think that was one of those happy accidents, because I think it looks lovely now. And I love it. This page is about what my family, my children, what we did on Christmas Eve, because we liked to mostly play games and watch Die Hard and sing songs around the piano. Our piano was always going, always going. So I just made it to look happy and warm, like we were looking into a room, and goodies to eat, and the children all excited, and of course the black and white dog, because we had a dog, border collie named Bingo. And these are from a calendar, so Christmas Eve to Christmas Day. This is a little bingo chip. I put it on later. I liked it because, first of all, our dog's name was Bingo, so that's B10 from Bingo Game. And also B, because, of course, my maiden name and my family, which are most of the characters in this book, the last name was Brown. So I just thought, I'm going to put that right there. It's also red, so it looks festive. Then I used some Coca-Cola playing cards, and I wrote about the card games that we liked to play on the back there. And then I created another journaling card. I put her on there. She's a fussy cut out of a book. I think this is also from A Christmas Carol. I just thought, you know what, that's she looks how I feel right now with my pandemic pudge that I've put on. But she looks very festive with some flowers in her hair, and it was a word snippet here, so much fun. So, and then I wrote about all the different things that we did at Christmas. And I think that page turned out really, that looks like a party right on the page. And it's also one of my more favorite pages out of this whole book. That's right up there with the solstice page. But that makes sense because, again, we were very much acknowledging the celebration that the winter solstice is when we would celebrate on Christmas Eve. And the paper in the background is children's music. I think it's from Lila Fletcher. I think. And I love that you can still see the child's writing. This wasn't my children's Lila Fletcher. I think my daughter still has their original Lila Fletcher books. This is from one that I found at a thrift store, but you can see the writing here, 2, 3, from whoever the little student was who owned this book previously. So I like how that turned out. This page is about what we ate for Christmas dinner. So it's a very simple page. 2 pockets with a turkey and a bone-in ham. And then I wrote about all the different things, the different families ate for Christmas dinner. This is a printable table menu. And I wrote about all the different families that I knew about and what we had for Christmas dinners. And then on this page, I put the word snippets. A Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. And that's from Bob Cratchit when he was giving his toast. And then here is A Wonderful Christmas Dinner. And that's a word snippet from Little House on the Prairie. Here on this page, I talk about Christmas crackers. And when I was growing up, we always had Christmas crackers at our place setting for the big dinner. And so I talk about how on the backs here, how we always wore Christmas crackers, and I included photos of my family, Gran and Granddad Brown and Nana and Papa Brown, and me standing on the table there. And there again, there's Gran and Granddad Brown. They're holding me there. There's some of my brothers, 2 of my brothers. So these are copies, again, that I created into journaling cards. They fit behind there. And then I made this, but this is what those hats were like that you would pull out of your Christmas cracker after you pulled it, and it went bang, and everyone would laugh and squeal, and it was great. And you would put your hat on your head and wear it through dinner. You had to. Well, you wanted to. It was great. So that is a happy memory for me. And it's not one that I did with my children. I wish I had, but I didn't, for many reasons, mostly that they're expensive. And I had better things to be spending $12 on than Christmas crackers at the time. But maybe it's something that we can introduce back into our Christmas dinners once we can start all getting together again for Christmas dinner. I love how this one turned out. I cut this freehand, and then I used a Victorian. I cut this, it's a fussy cut from a book of Victorian illustrations. And then I just added some little sparkly thread there and some old vintage trim here, a little ruffly trim. And I used my gold pen to make it look more like a cracker. So I think that turned out quite nice. I'm happy with it. This page is a page for me to list some of our favorite TV shows and movies that we've enjoyed over the years at Christmas time. And so this is a Christmas card that I used. And then in behind, I put this family in. I love it. This family, it's from a 1940s National Geographic. So it actually was an advertisement for movie projectors. And my family actually would watch family movies on a projector and screen. Many times during the year, my dad would get out the movie projector. Oh, we'd be so excited. We know it was going to be movie night. And just laugh and laugh over all the old family movies. And so I loved this family. And so I used film strip to make corner frames for it. And then I created a little tuck spot because this wasn't staying closed. So I used part of the back of the card This was on the back, and made a tuck spot for it. And then I started the list, but my family is going to be able to continue filling this in. Oh, let me move this over. I'm out of... My family will be able to continue to fill that in for a long, long time. Maybe they have other movies that they think belongs on that list. So I like how that one turned out too. And then see, I can tuck it in behind that little pine cone there, and it won't flop around too much. Just like that. This page is dedicated to my Nana Hodgins mittens that arrived every year. Usually end of November, beginning of December, a box would come to our house, a brown box, and inside would be individual little Christmas packages, all wrapped in Christmas paper with our names and tags. And you could feel they were squishy because we knew what was in there. It was always a new pair of mittens and usually a nose warmer as well. And Nana Hodgins always got our size right. She always knew every year how big our hands had grown to. It amazed us. It always amazed us. We'd put on our mittens and go, oh my goodness, they fit. How did she know? Because she lived over on the West Coast. I actually only have 2 times in my life that I remember being with my Nana Hodgins. I talked to her on the phone quite a few times, but I know I met her more than that because there's a picture of her here holding me. But it was before I was saving memories, so in my brain. So my brain only remembers 2 times meeting Nana Hodgins, but she was a very, very kind, quiet woman, very quiet. At first, the first time I met her, she was a puzzlement for me because my dad's mom, was always around because they lived very close to us, and Gran was just the life of every party, very jovial, very quite loud, and very much the center of attention. If she came into a room, you knew Gran was there. And when this lady first came to visit, and my strongest memory of her is sitting in the kitchen with a cup of tea, always beside her, and her knitting needles going, and just talking quietly and talking with my mom. And I would go into the kitchen and talk with her, and she just had this soft, quiet way of talking. And I sort of thought, wow, is that what grandmothers are also like? Because she wasn't hooting and hollering and playing the way Gran did. And I grew, after phone calls with her, to realize that it's okay to have grandmothers who are just, quiet and there. And anyhow, so that was Nana Hodgins. And so I wrote about Nana Hodgins' mittens on the back of this illustration from Jan Bradigan. Jan makes lots of appearances in this book. And this is from her story, The Mitten. And so I backed it onto, to make it a bit bigger, I put it onto some scrapbook paper. And then I wrote on the back about Nana Hodgins' mittens and nose warmers and how they arrived every year. And then this is from a 1950s knitting book. It's a pattern for how to make 2 needle mitts, because quite often with mittens you needed 3 or 4 needles in order to knit the circle to make the cuff. And these are 2 needle. It was the only one I could find, so it's 2 needle mitts, which is quite unique actually. So I thought that was rather appropriate, that little young person wearing new mittens. And then this page is my final page, and I had been saving this young lady for a long time, and I realized that this is the book she belongs in. This is actually a Norman Rockwell illustration, and I've always loved her and saved her. I feel akin to her. And I love that she's got dark brown hair and she's got glasses on and she's got all of her art supplies. And I love her fierce, steely, determined look. I feel like she's looking towards the future, and she's got her artwork in tow. I love how she's dressed. I love her shoes. I would wear those shoes today. I think I have some that look very similar to those shoes. And I just thought, you know what? This is just sort of my little sign off to my family, whoever is reading it, about what this book was, and thanking them for reading it. And I feel like that's sort of she sort of represents me. Here, I'll read it to you. It says, "Thank you for reading this book with some of our family's Christmas stories. Perhaps someday you can create a book yourself with some of your favorite memories for others to enjoy. With love." And then here's where I had a bit of a challenge. I thought, well, do I sign, do I sign my name? Do I sign, my grandchildren call me Bubby. So do I sign it Bubby? And then I thought, no, I am going to sign it Catherine, simply because even if it is my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren reading this someday, it's quite an amazing thing when you go from being a child and thinking that your grandparents are your grandparents, that their name is Grandma or their name is Nana. And then you find out, oh my goodness, Nana's got a name. It's quite, it actually humanizes them even more to find out, my name is Catherine. And, and not only that, but I've had a few last names. So that I sort of paused for a moment, and then I thought, no, I'm signing this Catherine. And then I dated it because I finished it on December 26th. So I dated it December 26th, 2020. And I put all these laces on. I put this lace on it as the last thing I did. And I just love how it turned out. I am so in love with this book. It feels good. I think it's fun to look at just from the outside and would make you curious to want to see what it's all about. And the little ties hold it down. It's going to take a little while for it to remember to stay shut. It's, you know what? I think I did pretty good. It's not too alligatory. This only has to hold it down a bit, but I think I will for a little while be putting a rock on it like that. I do that often with books to get them to remember to start staying down. I put a little pressure on this side of the book. So that is the tour. Oh my goodness, it took 2 30-minute videos. Wowie. Wow, this one isn't quite 30. 22. That is the tour of my Christmas December dailies for 2020 and all the memories that went with it. So once again, I mean, if you're still here and watching, thank you. And thank you for this whole year. I love your comments. I try my best to reply to as many comments as I can, and I try at the very least to click on the little heart to let you know that I read your comment. But whenever possible, I do like to just say a little something and say hi. So thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. And thank you for a great year. I'm looking forward to next year. I'm looking forward to being able to get back out into the world once we can all get our vaccinations. That will be wonderful. A lot of the people in this book lived through the Spanish flu and lived to tell the story for that. And someday we'll all be able to live to tell the story, hopefully, of how we survived through the coronavirus flu. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. I'll be back probably tomorrow because I've got to get started on a new journal. Yes. We'll talk soon. Bye.